The state of Florida is considering a new TikTok ban on college campuses, but this wouldn't just be for faculty and staff. This would affect students too. It's just one of the tech headlines that we're following for you at this hour, including Twitter facing a new lawsuit alleging millions of dollars in unpaid rent. Also, the Department of Justice taking aim at Google for reportedly violating antitrust laws. We'll begin with the DOJ, along with 8 states filing an antitrust lawsuit against the tech giant Google. They seek to break up the company's dominant online ad business in order to increase competition. The suit is alleging that Google forces advertisers to use its products by making it difficult to use competitors' products. Google is saying that the DOJ is trying to, quote, make it harder for thousands of small businesses and publishers to grow. Twitter, in the meantime, facing more legal trouble. The social media giant also must answer to new lawsuits over unpaid rent in its offices in San Francisco, also in the UK. It's the latest obstacle for new CEO Elon Musk as he tries to cut costs throughout the company. Musk, who is also the CEO of Tesla, is on trial in a separate class action lawsuit from the carmaker's investors. They are accusing him of misleading investors after posting a tweet back in 2017 claiming that he had funding to take the company private. Now to Florida, where university officials are looking to ban TikTok on state campuses. Leaders are expected to hold a conference call next month to craft a rule surrounding the app. It comes after their meeting yesterday in which they expressed support for a possible ban. Chinese firm ByteDance owns TikTok, and dozens of state officials have already banned the app on government devices. Officials are concerned that the Chinese government could force the company to share its users' data. In the meantime, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis defending his decision to reject students' access to an advanced placement African-American studies class. The move has been drawing quick backlash from Democratic lawmakers to black faith leaders. Some are claiming that the Florida Department of Education is attempting to whitewash history. But DeSantis is saying that the class is pushing a political agenda.
What's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids. And so when you look to see they have stuff about intersectionality, abolishing prisons, that's a political agenda.
With advanced placement courses on African-American history now out of reach for Florida students, one church is stepping up to fill the learning gap. Jada Williams spoke with a pastor who says that people shouldn't ignore this part of American history.
Allendale UMC's pastor says African-American history is a key part of American history, and if it's not taught in the classrooms, he'll allow them to teach it in his church.
And that was Jada Williams reporting for us there. Straight ahead on Scripps News Live, Ticketmaster facing bipartisan backlash on Capitol Hill as Senate Republicans and Democrats accuse the company of running a monopoly.
We need to make sure we have competition to bring prices down and bring innovation in and stop the fiascos.
Consolidation of power in the hands of few can create problems for the many.
Coming up after a quick break, Scripps News investigative reporter Patrick Terpstra breaks down what we learned in yesterday's heated hearing. We'll be right back.
Already a very busy 2 o'clock hour. It ain't over yet. Carolyn Bruck on the scene in our newsroom tracking all the other stories we're following. Hey, Carolyn.
Hey, Del. Paris plans to deploy 4,000 officers and 1,600 stadium staff for Thursday's France versus Israel soccer match. The move is in response to the violence against Israeli soccer fans in Amsterdam last week. Videos capturing crowds of young people assaulting those Israeli fans after a game between the local team and Israel. The attacks resulted in dozens of injuries and arrests. Haiti's prime minister has been forced out of office as the Caribbean nation deals with a wave of kidnappings and murders. Gary Coney, a former United Nations official who took office on an interim basis in May, was ousted by Haiti's ruling council ahead of a presidential election that's supposed to take place next year. Haiti's last president was murdered in 2021, and a transitional government has been in place since then. On the scene now in Cuba, where crews are assessing potential damage from a powerful earthquake. It was a 6.8 magnitude quake, and it hit the eastern part of the island yesterday. There were no immediate reports of injuries. That quake, though, comes less than a week after a Category 3 hurricane. Hurricane Rafael devastated parts of Cuba. The storm forced mass evacuations and destroyed hundreds of homes. Before that, Cuba was hit by blackouts stretching on for days. The annual United Nations Climate Summit opened today in Azerbaijan with uncertainty about America's commitment to the cause casting a shadow over the event. President-elect Donald Trump has threatened to roll back the U.S. commitment to reduce carbon emissions, and he has referred to climate change as a hoax and a scam. In remarks opening the COP29 forum, the UN's climate chief called for global cooperation and greater funding from wealthy nations to reduce emissions worldwide. And that's a look at just some of the stories that we're following for you. Del?
Yeah, you look at Cuba, you look at Florida. Hard to argue about climate change, to tell you the truth. Also, fires burning out west and also on the East Coast. Carolyn, thank you very much. And thank you for watching. If you're leaving us right now, your local programming is next. Reminder, you can always check us out at scripsnews.com. If you're staying with us, much more headed your way on the scene. In fact, we're looking live right now. This is Smyrna Beach in Florida. Images coming to us courtesy of EarthCam. Finally starting to see a little of the beach since the past couple of hurricanes consumed much of the sand. Temps there in the 80s. Very busy Friday afternoon right now, 12 o'clock hour. Several stories we're following for you right now. We're looking live. This is Palm Beach, Florida, outside Mar-a-Lago. We're also on the scene in Washington, D.C., at both the White House and the Capitol, and on the scene in Lima, Peru. Those are protests underway right now outside the APEC summit there. Lots of other news happening right now. Christian Bryant keeping tabs on all of those stories from our D.C. studios. CB, what's going on?
Del, good afternoon to you. It's about that time of year when retailers start hiring seasonal workers, but scammers could take advantage of those trying to make some extra cash. The Better Business Bureau says scammers have gotten sophisticated in their efforts to collect money and your personal information. One career coach warns they're also disguising themselves as companies on reputable job sites.
Fake jobs, fake companies are more and more common. Most of the clients that I've worked with, particularly over the last 1.5 to 2 years, have encountered some form of scam in their job search process.
The BBB says most reputable companies would not do the following. Pay attention here. Offer you a job without an interview, ask for a payment up front before your first day, or ask applicants to pay for job supplies and application or training fees. Another fraud trend is targeting thousands of people receiving food assistance. Some victims say their EBT accounts have been nearly wiped clean, and this comes as Thanksgiving is less than 2 weeks away. Hannah McDonald with Scripps News Tennessee digs into this issue and the efforts to address it.
Families across the state are stretching their dollars at the grocery store.
Amen on that. That was Hannah McDonald reporting for us. Automaker Ford will pay a fine up to $165 million for delaying a recall announcement. It's the second largest penalty the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has ever fined a company. The recall deals with faulty rear view cameras in more than 620,000 vehicles. Safety officials also allege that the car maker failed to give accurate recall information to government investigators. Along with the fine, an independent group will oversee future recalls from Ford. Medication commercials are about to look a little bit different. Look and sound different, that is. The FDA released new rules requiring drug makers to be more direct about a drug's risk and side effects. Starting next Wednesday, drug makers must use customer-friendly language. This includes avoiding medical jargon or fast talking, something that we hear often. Medical experts applaud the new rules, but insist more enforcement is needed in drug ads, especially on social media. And there's a special reason to look up at the night sky this weekend. The last supermoon of the year is happening tonight. Expect the moon to appear brighter and bigger than usual through tomorrow night. This is the last of 4 consecutive supermoons that happened this year. This one will be a beaver moon, which got its name because November is when beavers start preparing for the winter. Del, you're a smart guy. I'm sure you already knew this.
I did, actually, to tell you the truth. But I was going to go back to your drug warnings there. There is a commercial on television, I don't know if you've seen it, where the entire screen is filled with a disclaimer. And the print is so small you need a magnifying glass to see it, and it lasts about 5 seconds. I don't know if that counts, but I'm pretty sure nobody knows what it is that they're warning you about.
It's that, it's the fast talking, it's the people frolicking in, fields of lilies and whatnot. Hopefully we'll see some changes down the line.
That's why we're going to look up tonight at the beaver moon and say, there you go. CB, thank you very much. As we head to break, a live look at Wall Street, you can see the Dow down triple digits again today. 325 points follows losses yesterday. Stay with us. We're back out on the scene in 3,